Welcome, family. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Authentically Being Ava. I'm Ava. So, family, today's topic, I wanted to talk about grief and the loss of friendships, the loss of loved ones, the loss of family. And I mean that in the sense of someone actually passing away and just the loss of the relationship. I know that some will say that that's not the same thing, a person physically dying and you never seeing them again is different from losing a relationship with someone. But it depends on whom you are speaking to and how that person has affected their life. Because if you have lost a friendship that you've had for many years and a friendship that meant a lot to you, that has the same feeling as death, like you're not going to see that person again for the most part, or have a relationship with that person. So your life is forever changed. So I've had quite a few family members that have passed, and it's had a major effect on me. It's pretty rough. I've lost close loved ones, and that pain is like no other. Family, everybody is different. Everyone is going to be affected differently by it. It's something that you can't rush. You can't rush the grieving process. It just has to happen how it happens. There's no set time period, as to when you may start to feel better. It may never change, honestly. It depends on, the quality or the closeness of the relationship that you had with that loved one, whether it was a loving relationship or it wasn't, because it could still affect you gravely, even if you guys weren't on good terms. I've been there. Sometimes that may be even harder to deal with. But, yeah, family. I will say, for me, what I have chosen to do was look at and celebrate all of the fun times I had with this person, all the love that was shared between you and that person. You have to process that. You can't. It's something that you have to kind of go through. It's a part of the rite of passage of life, I believe. Because we all experience it to some extent. A pet, someone in our family. And you can have the same feelings of grief with people that you've fallen out of friendship with. That can be pretty rough too, and sometimes in life, all relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, you hope for the best, that these folks are going to stick around and be there for your entire life, but it does not always work out that way. And depending on the circumstances of what you are dealing with another person, you may have to take a stance, and you may have to make a gut-wrenching decision that this isn't working for me anymore. This isn't fun anymore. There are some things, some components of the relationship that just have broken down, and you just can't seem to repair them. No matter how much you've talked about it or tried to work things out. So there comes a time where you may have to make a decision you may not want to. Life is too short to be fake or phony or pretending, to be a certain way with somebody. You have to speak your truth and speak your mind. You don't have to be aggressive or angry or nasty and, yelling and all that. You don't have to do all of that. That isn't necessary, to get your point across. But in the end, the decision is what it has to be. And that can be a form of grieving because you're remembering the good times that you shared with this person, And if they betrayed you, that makes it even worse because, you're remembering that there were good times and then these things happened and, however you may have tried to work it out, it just did not work out. The things that you guys discussed, it wasn't resolved and you just kind of realized that this isn't the thing for you. And yeah, that process is like grief, can be pretty isolating. It's really good. I always say this in most of my videos. It's good to have, a good therapist that you could talk to about some of the things that are going on in your life, to help you balance things out because, especially these days, we all need to have somebody, that we can talk to, that we could honestly talk to, not gossip about, but really help us to try to sort things out in our life and in our mind about certain things that have happened between, yourself and others, how to handle that, how to proceed past that, how to not let it, spill into your life in other areas, yeah, and the flip side of that is, developing a stronger relationship with yourself. That's the flip side of a lot of this. There, of course, you have other friends and stuff that you may be able to talk to and maybe you don't. It's a beautiful time to just be with yourself and to gather your thoughts. Just sit there and look over the things that have just transpired in your life. It's growth. It's a growing period. You may not realize it, but it is. Yeah. Going through grief is a form of growth, of self, evolution of life, and it kind of just puts it all in a little ball, like this all put it all together in a bundle and just like the beginning to the end, it's just like, wow, there it is. This is how it started, this is the middle, this is the end. What happens after that? This is where I am now. How do I go on past, this point of the end where you're in the grief stage? Those who have passed on, again, celebrating their life and the times that you shared, the good things and the bad that you've experienced with them. Just look at what it is that you learned from that person, How did you grow as a person knowing them? Those are the beautiful things that you cherish and keep with you and remember always. And just be thankful and glad to have had them in your life. Because whether the experience was negative or positive, you grew somehow from that experience, from having that person. You learned something from that exchange. And I think that's why we're here, to be honest. To learn, to grow, to evolve. And the same with some of the friendships that you may have. The person may not physically pass on from this life, but they pretty much have passed on from your life. Does that make sense? Yeah. You're not going to have the conversations with them, the phone calls, the outings. But just look at what you learned from that person. you learned something, you have something that you can say, I learned to never do that again, you know, or wow, this is what I want more of, you know, in another relationship that's better suited for me, you know, than this one here. So, but yeah, this is all perfect time to just be with yourself, to sit with yourself, to journal, to write, think about the things that you've experienced with that person. It's all growth. It's a beautiful thing, family. Sit back and just give them a little time. Just think about what you experienced with that person. And then move on. Move on. And be thankful for the experience that you had with them. Family, thank you for watching. I hope you got, you know, some little nuggets of gems from the conversation here. Any comments? Feel free to write them in the comment section. Please like and subscribe, and I appreciate your time, and I will see you on the next video, family. Take care.